The truth most people refuse to face is brutal. Your life is quietly slipping away while you chase the wrong things. Every hour, every day, every week, you trade time for promises that don't deliver. And the cruel irony? Most entrepreneurs, most creators, most ambitious humans will never escape the hamster wheel because they're trapped by one invisible chain. Their offer is weak. Not their product, not their skill, not their effort, but the way they present value to the world. Imagine spending years, maybe decades, building your business, your craft, your empire. Sweat, tears, sleepless nights. And then one day you look at your bank account, or worse, your impact, and it whispers, "This isn't enough." That whisper grows louder until it becomes a scream. You're invisible. Here's the horrifying paradox. The world is literally begging to give you money. People are starving for transformation, desperate for solutions that change their lives. Yet they walk past your business, your product, your genius as if it were a shadow. Why? Because your offer doesn't hit them where it matters. It doesn't scream, "I am the answer." It doesn't promise certainty. It doesn't deliver emotion. It doesn't create a future they can't resist. And here's the secret most people will never learn. There is a formula, a way to make offers so irresistible, so undeniable, that people don't even negotiate, they fight to pay you. Alex Hormozi discovered it. He didn't stumble on luck, he engineered it, turning ordinary products into $100 million machines, not once, but again and again. Picture this. One afternoon, a single tweak transformed a failing gym membership into a multi-million-dollar juggernaut. One overlooked element, one subtle shift in perception, and a product that barely sold yesterday suddenly dominates the market today. People don't see the change, they only see the results. And this isn't just about business. This is about freedom, legacy, and the life you refuse to settle for. The world will try to convince you that growth is incremental, that scaling is a gamble, that security is the safest path. That's a lie. The truth? Growth is strategic, deliberate, and scientifically predictable if you know the mechanisms behind value, perception, urgency, and transformation. Right now, you stand at the edge of a choice. You can stay trapped in mediocrity, quietly losing to invisible forces, wasting thousands of hours and countless opportunities, or you can unlock the principles that create $100 million offers, the hidden levers of human desire, the triggers of irresistible action, the architecture of wealth that the elite exploit every single day. By the end of this audiobook, nothing will feel the same. You won't just see your business differently. You'll see yourself differently. You'll understand why some offers fail, why some explode, and why most humans never even recognize the invisible chains holding them back. And here's the kicker. The very things you think are impossible, the insane revenue, the market domination, the freedom to live life on your terms, they're not only possible, they're inevitable once you master the offer. But there's a price. The truth I'm about to reveal is not for the faint-hearted. It will challenge your beliefs, shatter your assumptions, and make every excuse you've ever made feel pathetic. Because the formula for $100 million offers doesn't reward effort. It rewards understanding, precision, and audacity. So, here's the question burning in your chest, the one you can't ignore. Are you ready to see the invisible? To finally understand why ordinary people fail while some create millions effortlessly? To unlock the mechanics of offers that don't just sell, but dominate, change lives, and build empires? Because the next chapter isn't theory, it's the blueprint, the first domino that will shatter the mediocrity holding you hostage. And what you learn there will make everything you think you know about business, value, and human desire look like child's play. The clock is ticking. Every second you hesitate, someone else is capturing the market, converting desire into money, and leaving you behind. The question isn't whether you can make millions. The question is, will you act before the world passes you by? Chapter 1. The Invisible Trap. You think you're building something extraordinary, pouring energy, money, and sleepless nights into your business. You tell yourself this is the path to freedom, to recognition, to success. And yet, there's a silent killer in the shadows, invisible to the eye, but deadly to every ambition. Most offers die quietly, not because the product is bad, not because the effort was lacking, but because they are invisible to the very people who should be clamoring to pay. The majority of entrepreneurs, dreamers, and creators wake up every day believing that hard work guarantees results. They measure their days in hours spent, posts published, cold calls made, presentations given. And the cruel truth? Hard work without strategic clarity is like running on a treadmill while the world passes by at warp speed. You're moving, sweating, exhausted, but getting nowhere. People won't pay for effort. They won't reward intention. They respond only to perception, clarity, and the promise of a transformation so tangible it shakes their reality. Imagine spending a year crafting a product, fine-tuning every feature, testing every variant, and then watching it fade into obscurity. The market doesn't whisper, it roars in silence. Your offer isn't irresistible. Alex Hormozi discovered the invisible law that separates businesses that stagnate from those that explode. It's not about marketing tricks. It's not about persuasion alone. It's about creating an offer so aligned with desire, so shockingly valuable that it becomes impossible to refuse. Picture a client struggling to sell memberships at a local gym. At first, they offered the standard deal: access, a schedule, some support. Response was minimal. People came in, tried, left, and the business stagnated. Then, the offer was reimagined. Every fear was removed, every desire amplified, every benefit stacked so clearly that joining no longer felt like a purchase, it felt like destiny. Memberships skyrocketed. Overnight, the invisible became undeniable. Most entrepreneurs fail because they stop at their product, never seeing the layers of desire, emotion, and psychological triggers waiting to be woven into the offer. They present features, price tags, and packages, but never craft a magnet that pulls the customer in with urgency and certainty. Here's the reality you need to grasp immediately. People buy clarity more than they buy anything else. If your offer is muddy, if it's ordinary, if it doesn't scream transformation, it will be ignored, no matter how amazing your product is. You can be the best at what you do, but if the world doesn't see the value in a way that feels urgent, attainable, and necessary, you remain invisible. Now consider the stakes. Every day that passes without mastering this craft is a day spent giving attention, money, and trust to competitors who understood the invisible rules. Every moment wasted on mediocre offers is a step further into obscurity. And the terrifying part? Most entrepreneurs never realize it until it's too late. But the door is open. The formula is simple, but execution is precise. You cannot stumble into $100 million offers by accident. You cannot reach the apex by guessing. Every element, the promise, the guarantee, the speed of result, the perception of value must be orchestrated with intent. The trap is invisible, but it is avoidable. Recognize it, dismantle it, and you begin to see the market in a new light. Offers are no longer just products. They are irresistible pathways to transformation, carefully engineered to pull people toward the result they desperately desire. And here's the edge that separates those who fail silently from those who explode into success. The next insight isn't about working harder.
It's about thinking differently, reframing the very concept of what an offer is. Because once you see how to engineer perception, urgency, and absolute clarity into your offer, the invisible trap collapses. People no longer ignore you. They chase you. They don't hesitate. They buy immediately. What comes next is the mechanism that turns ordinary offerings into $100 million machines. It's the principle that transforms obscurity into dominance and hesitation into action. And the first step isn't luck, talent, or effort. It's understanding the architecture of human desire, the silent forces that make someone say yes before they even realize it.
Chapter 2: The $100 Million Mindset. Most people believe success is about effort, talent, or timing. They tell themselves if they just work harder, try longer, or wait patiently, the breakthrough will arrive. But the truth is far more shocking. Millions of hours are wasted by brilliant people who fail not because they lack skill, but because their thinking is trapped in ordinary patterns. Alex Hormozi discovered that wealth isn't built on effort alone. It's constructed on how you perceive value, risk, and human desire. Ordinary entrepreneurs offer products. Elite entrepreneurs offer solutions that feel unavoidable, so clear and compelling that resistance is not an option. This is the mindset that separates the invisible from the unstoppable. Imagine standing in a crowded marketplace. Thousands of products surround you, all competing for attention. Which ones do people choose? Not the cheapest, not the most advertised, not the most labor-intensive. They choose the offer that makes their decision effortless, that guarantees transformation, that removes doubt entirely. Hormozi's breakthrough was realizing that the barrier to 100 million isn't the product, it's the perception. People will pay 10 times, 20 times, even 100 times more if the offer solves their problem completely, immediately, and with certainty. Scarcity, urgency, guarantees, results, social proof. These aren't tricks. They are the language of desire, the architecture of a $100 million mindset. Consider a struggling gym. At first, it offered standard memberships, blending into a sea of similar offers. People walked in, half-interested, unsure if it would make a difference. Hormozi helped restructure the mindset. The membership wasn't a gym, it was a transformation machine. Every fear was addressed: accountability, results, time, money. Every desire was amplified: faster progress, guidance, community. Suddenly, membership wasn't a choice, it was a lifeline. The gym didn't just attract customers, it commanded them. The $100 million mindset is built on one irreducible principle. People don't buy products, they buy certainty and transformation. Effort alone never creates certainty. Talent alone never creates transformation. Only a mindset that designs offers to deliver outcomes that feel inevitable produces the kind of explosive results that compound wealth. Think about your own work. Are you presenting features, or are you presenting a future people crave? Are you simply selling, or are you engineering desire, expectation, and emotional certainty? The difference between mediocre revenue and unstoppable growth lies not in action, but in perspective. Most entrepreneurs underestimate one brutal fact: price is perception, not cost. When an offer feels like it will change someone's life, the price becomes irrelevant. Fear is replaced by anticipation, hesitation by action, doubt by demand. Understanding this is the key to the mindset that scales $100 million offers. But mindset alone isn't enough. It must be paired with strategy, clarity, and deliberate design.
Every element of the offer, the guarantee, the urgency, the stack of benefits, must reinforce the perception of transformation. Without it, even brilliant products fail to trigger the psychological shift necessary for high-value conversion. Hormozi's genius wasn't inventing new tools, it was thinking in a different dimension. Most people see products as objects. He saw them as experiences, as transformations, as contracts between desire and certainty. That shift in perspective allowed ordinary ideas to explode into extraordinary outcomes. By adopting the $100 million mindset, hesitation disappears. You stop settling for incremental gains. You no longer pitch offers, you craft irresistible pathways to results that make saying no impossible. Every interaction becomes a chance to reinforce value. Every element of communication becomes a tool of persuasion rooted in clarity, desire, and inevitability. And now comes the edge that most entrepreneurs never reach. Understanding that fearlessness in value creation multiplies results exponentially. The higher the stakes, the more audacious the promise, the more the market responds. People don't just accept bold offers, they gravitate toward them, propelled by the perception of certainty and the elimination of risk. Once you internalize this mindset, everything changes. You stop chasing prospects. Prospects chase you. Your offers no longer compete, they dominate. Your revenue doesn't grow slowly, it accelerates with compounding force, and the invisible chains that kept your work trapped in obscurity shatter. The next revelation is even more powerful. It's the mechanism that turns this mindset into actionable architecture. How to structure every element of your offer so that human desire, urgency, and clarity collide in a way that feels inevitable, unstoppable, and irreversible. And when you see it, you'll understand why some offers fail silently, while others ignite markets, create cult-like followings, and generate tens of millions, seemingly overnight.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.
Chapter 3. The Hidden Multiplier. The difference between a business that barely survives and one that dominates isn't luck. It isn't working harder, hustling longer, or hoping for an opportunity. The difference is the invisible power woven into the offer, the architecture of value stacking. This is what turns ordinary products into magnetic machines, products that make people act instantly, without hesitation, without comparison. Think about why people choose one product over another. They don't see hours of work, painstaking design, or raw effort. They see a promise fulfilled, a transformation crystallized, a future made tangible. Every feature, every bonus, every guarantee contributes to a perception so compelling that the consumer no longer decides, they respond. They surrender willingly because the value feels undeniable, unavoidable, inevitable. Alex Hormozi understood this principle and weaponized it. One small business owner struggled for months, barely covering costs. His product was solid, but engagement was low. Customers weren't buying. Hormozi didn't increase ads. He didn't lower prices. He reimagined the offer entirely. Every layer of the product was stacked with benefits that resolved fear, amplified desire, and made the result tangible. One program became a package: fast results, personalized guidance, accountability checkpoints, exclusive content, and a guarantee so bold it removed all doubt. The transformation was immediate. People didn't just join, they clamored, they competed, they became advocates before even starting. This is the multiplier most entrepreneurs overlook. They present value as a single dimension, a product, a service, a feature. Hormozi's insight revealed that human desire is multidimensional, and the offer must reflect that complexity. Speed, certainty, convenience, prestige, exclusivity, risk elimination, every dimension contributes exponentially to perceived value. One layer alone does little. Combined, they create a force so strong it feels magnetic, almost predestined. Imagine a staircase. Each step represents a benefit. Alone, one step is easy to ignore. 2 or 3 steps create intrigue, a path forward. Stack 10, 20, 30 steps, and suddenly climbing is not optional, it is inevitable. Every addition magnifies the perception of transformation. This is the invisible engine behind $100 million offers. The genius lies not just in stacking tangible elements, but in engineering perception. People pay not for what they see, they pay for how they feel about the outcome. Hormozi's approach didn't just show what the offer included, it framed the offer as a guarantee of transformation, a promise of certainty, a pathway to a future they could visualize and touch. The multiplier effect doesn't stop at features. Bonuses, guarantees, and add-ons aren't mere accessories, they are accelerators. Each one, carefully designed, eliminates hesitation, builds trust, and amplifies desire. One client added personalized coaching calls. Another included access to a private network. Another created a results guarantee that removed all perceived risk. Each element stacked on the next until the offer became irresistible. The customer didn't just buy, they committed. The principle here is devastatingly simple and profoundly ignored. People will pay far more than you think if the perceived value exceeds price by a significant margin. But perceived value isn't created by luck. It's constructed deliberately, layer by layer, with precision, psychology, and intent. This is the secret most entrepreneurs fail to grasp. They obsess over features, marketing, and outreach, while the real engine of growth, the irresistible offer, is invisible. And that invisibility is lethal. Without stacking, without amplification, even the most groundbreaking product can languish unseen and undervalued. Hormozi's clients discovered something even more shocking. The more you stack, the more scarcity and urgency magnify results. When an offer feels dense with value and the opportunity to claim it is limited, conversion multiplies exponentially. The human mind is wired to act when it perceives that the window for transformation may close. The multiplier works in layers. Tangible outcomes, emotional satisfaction, social proof, risk elimination, speed, convenience, exclusivity, all stacked together to create an offer that doesn't just sell, it dominates the market, commands attention, and becomes unavoidable. The invisible trap that swallowed ordinary entrepreneurs evaporates in the presence of a properly stacked, perceptually undeniable offer. What comes next is where the stakes rise even higher. Adding layers of value is powerful, but the timing, framing, and scarcity of the offer are what convert potential into immediate action. Most entrepreneurs stumble here, leaving millions on the table. Hormozi discovered the secret to using scarcity and urgency without appearing manipulative, creating a force so strong that people feel compelled to act before thinking twice. And when you see this, the world changes. Your business no longer competes, it commands. Your customers no longer decide, they surrender. Offers that once languished in obscurity now explode, multiplying revenue, influence, and impact in ways that feel almost predestined. This hidden multiplier is not optional. It is the force behind every $100 million offer, the invisible engine that separates those who remain ordinary from those who dominate markets. Once you understand it, the next revelation, the science of scarcity and urgency, will feel like adding jet fuel to an already unstoppable engine.
Chapter 4. The Power of Scarcity and Urgency. The moment a potential customer hesitates is the moment opportunity dies. Human attention is fleeting, decisions are delayed, and the world is filled with distractions engineered to pull focus away from transformation. Every second spent wondering is a second lost, an opportunity surrendered. Most offers fail here, not because the product is weak, but because they ignore the psychology of immediate action. Alex Hormozi discovered that scarcity and urgency aren't mere marketing gimmicks, they are psychological levers that transform value into action. People don't just respond to opportunity, they chase it, fight for it, and commit instantly when they feel the window is closing. Scarcity converts desire into action. Urgency accelerates decision-making. Together, they transform a stacked offer into a machine that triggers almost instinctive commitment. Consider a software platform struggling to sell seats. Initially, the offer was abundant, accessible at any time. Results were underwhelming. Customers delayed decisions, doubted outcomes, and eventually moved on. Then, scarcity was introduced. A limited number of seats, exclusive access to a private cohort, bonuses that expired. Suddenly, hesitation vanished. People didn't compare, they acted immediately. The perceived value of the offer increased, not because the product changed, but because the opportunity to claim it felt fleeting. Urgency works in layers. Time limits create pressure. Limited quantities create desire. Exclusive access creates perceived prestige. When stacked together, these triggers convert curiosity into commitment, hesitation into action, and intention into purchase. The human brain is wired to avoid loss. Properly engineered scarcity taps into this primal instinct, magnifying response exponentially. The genius of Hormozi's approach lies in alignment. Scarcity and urgency are never arbitrary. They are extensions of value. They are credible because the offer is stacked, tangible, and undeniably beneficial. When people feel a high degree of certainty about outcomes, the scarcity doesn't feel manipulative, it feels urgent, rational, and unavoidable. Every interaction reinforces this perception. Emails, landing pages, consultations, and demonstrations are all opportunities to amplify urgency. Limited-time bonuses, exclusive features, and guarantee thresholds become psychological accelerators, not just adornments. Customers don't just buy, they commit before thinking twice, propelled by the invisible forces carefully embedded into the offer. The multiplier effect here is staggering. Offers that were once ignored become magnets. People not only act, they advocate, they share, they refer, they chase others into the offer. The perception of rarity amplifies value, turning desire into obsession. Ordinary revenue growth is replaced by exponential conversion spikes. Hormozi's clients discovered a shocking reality. Scarcity without value is empty. Urgency without transformation is hollow. The combination of stacked value with time-sensitive opportunity creates an irresistible gravitational pull. People aren't just persuaded, they feel compelled. Decisions that might have taken weeks are made in hours. Skeptics turn into buyers. Buyers turn into evangelists. The market moves, not incrementally, but in waves of accelerated adoption. Think of it like a storm. Stacked value is the pressure. Scarcity is the wind. Urgency is the current pulling everything forward. Alone, each element is noticeable but manageable. Together, they create a force unstoppable, reshaping markets, dominating attention, and turning ordinary offers into 100 million phenomena. This is the critical edge most entrepreneurs never grasp. They overestimate features, underestimate perception, and fail to orchestrate timing. Without scarcity and urgency, even the most meticulously stacked offer will fail to ignite. The invisible trap reappears. Hesitation, delay, indifference. With these levers properly applied, the offer becomes unavoidable, undeniable, and irresistible. The next revelation takes everything to a higher dimension. Scarcity and urgency trigger action, but perception, risk elimination, and guaranteed outcomes transform action into unstoppable commitment.
The next chapter will reveal the mechanics of risk reversal, the secret that removes doubt entirely and makes the offer feel inevitable before the customer even steps forward.
Chapter 5. The Irresistible Guarantee. Even the most perfectly stacked offer with urgency and scarcity can falter if doubt lingers in the mind of the customer. The human brain is wired to avoid risk, to hesitate when stakes feel high, to retreat when uncertainty creeps in. This invisible hesitation is the final barrier between ordinary results and $100 million outcomes. Alex Hormozi uncovered the mechanism that demolishes this barrier entirely, the irresistible guarantee. A guarantee is not a mere promise, it is the ultimate psychological lever. It communicates certainty, removes fear, and transfers confidence from the creator to the customer. When crafted strategically, a guarantee annihilates hesitation, replacing skepticism with conviction. People don't just consider the offer, they feel compelled to act, driven by a deep, almost instinctive need to seize what now feels risk-free. Consider a business owner struggling to sell an online program. The product was solid, the marketing precise, the offer stacked with bonuses, scarcity applied, yet conversions remained stagnant. Customers admired the promise but feared failure, doubted results, and held back. Hormozi introduced a radical guarantee. Achieve the result, or the client received a complete refund plus additional support until success was achieved. The transformation was immediate. Skeptics became believers, hesitant observers became committed participants, and sales surged beyond projections. The guarantee was no longer a safety net, it became the engine of desire itself. The brilliance lies in perception. A guarantee signals that the offer is not only valuable, but unavoidable. It communicates that the creator stands behind the promise with absolute confidence, shifting risk entirely onto themselves. The customer experiences a profound shift. What was once a gamble becomes a certainty. What was once a question becomes an answer, and hesitation evaporates into action. The mechanics of an irresistible guarantee extend beyond simple refunds. Hormozi demonstrated that guarantees can amplify perceived value in multiple ways: faster results, extended support, access to exclusive resources, personalized guidance, and measurable outcomes. Each component compounds trust, reinforces commitment, and magnifies urgency. People don't just respond, they internalize the offer as a solution they cannot afford to miss. This principle is the secret weapon most entrepreneurs never deploy. They fear exposure, fear accountability, fear delivering beyond expectation. But the reality is brutal. Hesitation kills growth faster than failure ever could. By embracing guarantees that are audacious, clear, and tangible, the offer transcends ordinary limits, transforming hesitation into immediate engagement. When the guarantee is paired with stacked value, scarcity, and urgency, the effect is almost unstoppable. People feel they are receiving a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the act of buying becomes not just a transaction, but a decisive step toward transformation. The guarantee doesn't merely remove doubt, it amplifies desire, elevates perceived value, and triggers action with a force that compounds across every interaction. Hormozi's clients discovered a profound truth. Offers with audacious guarantees outperform every other tactic combined. Pricing becomes irrelevant, objections dissolve, and commitment accelerates. Customers begin to advocate before even fully engaging, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of desire, action, and exponential growth. The next level takes this even further. While guarantees eliminate doubt and scarcity accelerates action, the final multiplier is positioning, framing the offer as the only logical choice in a crowded market. When people perceive your offer as inevitable, unavoidable, and uniquely aligned with their desires, hesitation disappears entirely. This is where ordinary entrepreneurs plateau and $100 million creators ascend. The stage is set. You now understand how to engineer value, stack benefits, create urgency, and annihilate risk.
What remains is to position the offer in the mind of the customer so completely that choosing anything else feels impossible. The force that transforms ordinary revenue into unstoppable growth. The secret that will be revealed in the next chapter.
Chapter 6. The Inevitable Choice. Even the most stacked offer, layered with urgency, scarcity, and an audacious guarantee, will fail if the customer doesn't perceive it as the only logical path forward. This is where perception becomes destiny, where framing transcends persuasion, where an offer stops being a choice and becomes inevitable. Alex Hormozi discovered that positioning is not decoration. It is the unseen architecture that guides the mind to a single conclusion. This offer must be claimed. People are wired to compare, to hesitate, to doubt. Positioning removes all alternatives. It creates a lens through which the offer is no longer one option among many, but the solution the market has been searching for. Imagine a crowded marketplace. Competitors shout about features, prices, and benefits. Customers glance, evaluate, hesitate, and then move on. Hormozi's approach flips the script entirely. Instead of competing, the offer becomes the standard against which all others are measured. Suddenly, other options feel inferior, incomplete, and irrelevant. The decision is no longer if, but when. The brilliance lies in narrative. The offer must tell a story in the mind of the customer, a story of transformation, certainty, and exclusivity. Every element, stacked benefits, audacious guarantees, scarcity, urgency, must reinforce this narrative. The customer doesn't just see value, they experience inevitability. They feel compelled, not coerced. They act not because they are persuaded, but because the decision has been architected as the obvious outcome. Hormozi's clients found that subtle shifts in framing produced exponential results. A coaching program was no longer a set of lessons. It became a pathway to measurable success, framed as the only way to achieve rapid results. A software platform was no longer a tool. It became the centerpiece of transformation, the standard for the industry. In each case, the offer's framing created psychological gravity, pulling customers forward before they even realized it. Positioning transforms perception. It aligns every layer of value with desire, certainty, and urgency. Scarcity magnifies attention. Guarantees dissolve doubt. Stacked benefits amplify desire. Positioning then fuses all these elements into a single irresistible trajectory, making hesitation irrational and inaction impossible. The multiplier effect is profound. Offers once ignored now dominate attention. Conversion rates soar. Customers commit instantly. Advocacy begins before full engagement. The market responds not incrementally, but in waves of unstoppable adoption. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate amplification, how to engineer perception and messaging so that desire, urgency, and inevitability collide in a single moment, making offers feel irresistible before the customer even evaluates them. This is where ordinary entrepreneurship ends and $100 million domination begins.
Chapter 7. The Messaging Engine. Even when an offer is stacked with value, fortified by guarantees, amplified by scarcity, and positioned as inevitable, it will falter if the messaging fails to ignite desire before the first interaction. The human brain is a filter, sifting noise from signal, instinctively ignoring anything that doesn't demand attention. Words, framing, and perception are the engines that drive engagement, the force that converts latent desire into immediate action. Alex Hormozi discovered that messaging is not decoration. It is the invisible lever that channels attention, primes expectation, and activates urgency simultaneously. A poorly articulated offer, no matter how powerful, is invisible. The most brilliant stack of value can vanish in the background, drowned by competitors, distracted audiences, and fleeting attention spans. Consider a service offering coaching. The product is transformative. The offer is stacked. Urgency and scarcity are applied. Yet when the initial message fails to capture attention in the first seconds, the potential client scrolls past. Hormozi's insight was radical. The first words must convey transformation, signal value, and trigger emotional resonance instantly. The message must act as a magnet, pulling prospects into the offer before skepticism even forms. Messaging operates on multiple psychological dimensions. It must create clarity, eliminate confusion, amplify desire, and instill urgency, all in a single perception. Every phrase, headline, and visual cue reinforces the architecture of the offer. It signals to the brain that hesitation is irrational and immediate engagement is the only logical path. Hormozi's clients applied this principle with astonishing results. A software platform, previously ignored, became a market sensation after messaging was reframed. The language shifted from features to transformation, from benefits to inevitability. Scarcity, guarantees, and stacked value were now highlighted in a sequence that orchestrated emotional and cognitive response, making the offer feel not only desirable, but urgent and unavoidable. Conversion rates doubled, then quadrupled. Users didn't just buy, they evangelized. The genius of messaging lies in alignment with human instincts. People respond to clarity, certainty, and relevance. They resist noise, doubt, and complexity. Hormozi engineered messaging to eliminate ambiguity, amplify value, and trigger emotional desire before rational analysis begins. This is why $100 million offers feel magnetic. The audience experiences an almost subconscious compulsion to act. The first glance, the first read, the first interaction becomes a point of no return. Effective messaging also amplifies scarcity and urgency. Words are used not to pressure, but to signal opportunity, creating a perception that the offer is fleeting and valuable simultaneously. Guarantees are framed as evidence, not risk. Stacked benefits are highlighted as milestones to a transformation. Every message reinforces the narrative. Hesitation is loss. Action is reward. Engagement is inevitable. Hormozi discovered another layer: repetition without redundancy. Every touchpoint, emails, sales pages, presentations, social proof must reinforce the core message in slightly new ways, deepening perception and emotional resonance without triggering fatigue. This layering creates a gravitational field around the offer. Prospects feel pulled toward commitment as though the trajectory is predetermined. The multiplier effect of messaging is staggering. When aligned perfectly with value stacking, scarcity, guarantees, and positioning, messaging transforms potential into kinetic energy. Customers don't just engage, they act decisively. Revenue growth accelerates, advocacy multiplies. Markets shift in response not to marketing spend, but to the invisible power of perception engineered through language and framing. The next revelation transcends even messaging. While value, scarcity, guarantees, positioning, and words create action, the architecture of trust and credibility compounds results exponentially. Without credibility, all messaging is fragile. With it, every offer becomes almost unstoppable. Chapter 8: The Architecture of Trust. Even when an offer is stacked, scarce, urgent, guaranteed, perfectly positioned, and messaged to perfection, it can still fail if the audience doesn't believe in the credibility of the promise. Human decision-making is ruled not only by desire, but by trust. Every hesitation, every pause, every delay is rooted in uncertainty. Will this deliver what it promises? Will I get the transformation I crave? Will my investment matter? Alex Hormozi discovered that trust is not earned by credentials alone or flashy marketing. It is engineered through architecture. Every interaction, every communication, every component of the offer must signal reliability, consistency, and proof of transformation. Trust is invisible, yet it exerts a force stronger than price, urgency, or scarcity. Without it, all other levers collapse. With it, even skeptics become buyers.
Hesitant observers become evangelists, and ordinary offers ascend into market domination. Consider a fitness coaching program. Clients hesitate, not because the offer is poor, but because past experiences, fear, and doubt weigh heavily. Hormozi's strategy was radical. Demonstrate transformation, proof, and authority in every element of the offer. Case studies, testimonials, quantifiable results, and transparent guarantees became not embellishments but integral parts of the architecture. Suddenly, skepticism dissolved. The offer wasn't just desirable, it was credible, believable, and unavoidable. Trust operates in layers. Social proof provides external validation. People see others achieving the promised result and begin to internalize possibility. Authority signals competence. The creator demonstrates mastery, experience, and understanding. Transparency eliminates fear. Clear terms, guarantees, and upfront expectations prevent hesitation. When these layers interact with stacking value, scarcity, urgency, positioning, and messaging, the offer becomes almost magnetic. People act not because they are persuaded, they act because doubt has been removed entirely. Hormozi discovered another key. Credibility compounds over time when every interaction reinforces the promise. Emails, social media, calls, webinars, and consultations are opportunities to layer trust subtly, consistently, and strategically. Each touchpoint multiplies perception of authority and reliability, creating a gravitational pull toward action. The customer feels guided, supported, and certain. Decision-making shifts from risk assessment to inevitable engagement. The multiplier effect of trust is exponential. Offers that were once ignored become unavoidable. Hesitation disappears. Customers don't merely commit, they advocate, share, and return repeatedly. When trust is engineered, scarcity feels urgent, urgency feels rational, guarantees feel credible, and stacked value feels irresistible. Every element of the offer aligns, amplifying conversion in ways that feel almost predestined. Hormozi's clients discovered a profound insight. Without trust, all other strategies, stacking, urgency, scarcity, guarantees, positioning, and messaging are fragile. With trust, these elements compound, creating offers that dominate markets, attract attention, and convert at rates most entrepreneurs can only dream of. The invisible trap that snared ordinary creators evaporates entirely when credibility is woven into the architecture of the offer. The next level goes further. Trust alone activates engagement, but when human psychology is integrated with behavioral triggers, action accelerates. People don't just believe, they feel compelled. They respond instantly, almost reflexively, to offers that combine engineered trust with urgency, scarcity, and inevitable framing.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.
Chapter 9. The Triggers of Immediate Action. Even with stacked value, scarcity, urgency, guarantees, positioning, messaging, and trust, a customer can hesitate. The human mind is wired to evaluate, compare, and procrastinate. Every second of indecision is lost opportunity. Alex Hormozi discovered that to create $100 million offers, action must be triggered before the mind finds excuses to delay. These are the behavioral triggers that convert potential into instant engagement. Triggers operate on primal instincts. Humans respond unconsciously to patterns, urgency cues, social validation, and emotional resonance. Hormozi engineered offers that activated these instincts systematically, ensuring that desire transformed into action almost reflexively. Timing, sequence, and framing all synchronized to amplify impact. Consider an online course struggling with enrollment. Despite perfect value and stacked benefits, potential students hesitated. Hormozi applied triggers strategically: limited-time bonuses, real-time progress displays, countdown timers, and live social proof. People observed others claiming the offer, saw deadlines approaching, and felt scarcity intensify urgency. The brain responded before rational thought engaged. Action became automatic. Enrollment surged, far beyond projections. Triggers are multi-layered. Emotional triggers tap into desire, fear, aspiration, and self-interest. Social triggers create validation, modeling, and peer pressure. Cognitive triggers reduce friction, simplify decisions, and highlight certainty. When combined with trust, urgency, and stacked value, the effect is almost magnetic. Hesitation disappears, and engagement becomes inevitable. Hormozi discovered that timing is critical. Triggers must be presented at the moment attention is highest, when doubt is weakest, and when desire peaks. Misaligned triggers fail. Overused triggers desensitize. But precisely calibrated, triggers turn potential interest into unstoppable action. They convert browsers into buyers, skeptics into advocates, and opportunities into explosive growth. The brilliance lies in integration. Triggers don't exist in isolation. They reinforce scarcity, urgency, and credibility. A countdown timer amplifies scarcity. A testimonial reinforces trust. A bonus reinforces value. Each trigger layers onto the others, creating a cumulative gravitational pull toward engagement. The offer becomes irresistible not by chance, but by design. Hormozi's clients discovered that offers designed around triggers transformed markets. Products that were previously ignored became dominant. Customers acted decisively, sometimes within minutes. The combination of engineered desire, perception of opportunity, and subconscious triggers converted hesitation into immediate action, producing results that seemed almost impossible. The next revelation elevates this further. Triggers activate immediate action, but behavioral sequencing transforms single purchases into long-term commitment and exponential growth. This is where $100 million offers don't just convert, they scale with unstoppable momentum, creating repeated engagement, loyalty, and compounding impact.
Chapter 10. The Sequence of Compounding Engagement. Even when every element of the offer is perfected, stacked value, scarcity, urgency, guarantees, positioning, messaging, trust, and behavioral triggers, growth can stall if the experience is treated as a single transaction. Alex Hormozi discovered that $100 million offers are not merely bought, they are experienced, sequenced, and compounded over time to maximize transformation, engagement, and lifetime value. Sequencing is the invisible engine behind compounding action. Every interaction must build upon the last, creating momentum that accelerates commitment. Initial purchase is only the beginning. Follow-up interactions, progress milestones, rewards, and additional offers must be carefully orchestrated to reinforce perception, deepen trust, and increase engagement exponentially. This is not upselling, it is engineering momentum. Consider a coaching program. Initial enrollment is just the first step. Hormozi sequences the experience. Welcome sessions that amplify excitement, early wins that validate investment, personalized guidance that reinforces credibility, milestone celebrations that reinforce transformation. Each interaction compounds perceived value, deepens emotional investment, and increases the likelihood of continued engagement and advocacy. What was once a single purchase becomes a journey of repeated actions and escalating commitment. The brilliance of sequencing lies in anticipation and reinforcement. Customers are guided through stages where desire is reinforced, trust is deepened, and the perception of inevitability grows stronger. Early successes are highlighted, testimonials are shared strategically, and additional benefits are introduced at precise moments to maintain momentum. The brain begins to associate the offer with continual progress, immediate gratification, and a path that cannot be ignored. Hormozi's clients discovered that proper sequencing turns ordinary engagement into compounding growth. One-time buyers become repeat buyers. Repeat buyers become advocates. Advocates generate referrals.
The result is a self-reinforcing cycle of action and growth that amplifies revenue, market presence, and influence. Sequencing converts static offers into dynamic ecosystems where engagement multiplies at every stage. Timing is critical. Each touchpoint must arrive when attention peaks, when the desire for transformation is highest, and when momentum is ready to accelerate. Poor timing, even with perfect offers, results in lost opportunity. Hormozi mastered this orchestration, ensuring that every interaction acted as both reinforcement and catalyst, creating a continuous forward motion that feels almost predestined to the customer. The multiplier effect of sequencing is staggering. When stacked value, scarcity, guarantees, positioning, messaging, trust, triggers, and behavioral reinforcement are combined with precise sequencing, the offer transcends ordinary conversion. Customers act faster, engage deeper, and advocate more passionately. Revenue growth is no longer linear. It compounds, escalates, and dominates markets. The next revelation escalates everything to the ultimate level. Sequencing locks in engagement, but systemic offer evolution and feedback loops transform every interaction into insight, optimization, and exponential scaling. This is where $100 million offers achieve unstoppable momentum, continuously improving, continuously converting, and continuously dominating.
Chapter 11. Continuous Evolution and Compounding Dominance. Even when an offer is perfectly stacked, positioned, guaranteed, scarce, urgent, messaged to perfection, trusted, triggered, and sequenced, the world does not remain static. Markets shift, competitors react, and human attention is fleeting. Alex Hormozi discovered that $100 million offers are not static creations. They are living systems that evolve, adapt, and compound over time, achieving dominance not once, but continuously. The principle is simple, but overlooked. Every interaction is feedback. Every engagement is insight. Every result is data. Offers that remain rigid stagnate. Offers that evolve compound growth exponentially. Hormozi's structured systems where customer behavior, market trends, and performance metrics became the engine for constant improvement. The offer itself became adaptive, responding in real time to maximize desirability and conversion. Consider a membership platform. Initial enrollment is just the starting point. Hormozi layered a feedback-driven loop. Early engagement metrics revealed which content created breakthroughs, which triggers drove action, and which messaging resonated most. Adjustments were made in real time, bonuses restructured, sequences optimized, scarcity refined. Customers felt the offer constantly improving, responding to their needs, increasing trust, and amplifying perceived value. What begins as an ordinary transaction becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of escalating engagement and revenue. The power of continuous evolution lies in anticipating human desire before it manifests. Hormozi engineered mechanisms to detect hesitation, predict churn, and reinforce urgency. Offers were no longer reactive, they became proactive. Every interaction signaled progress, every touchpoint deepened commitment, and every evolution increased the perception of inevitability. Customers felt they were part of a system designed to maximize their success, and the result was explosive engagement, rapid adoption, and market dominance. Hormozi's clients discovered a startling reality. Static offers plateau. Adaptive offers dominate. Sequencing without evolution decays. Triggers without adjustment lose potency. But when feedback, adaptation, and iteration are integrated into every layer of the offer, engagement compounds, trust deepens, and growth escalates. Revenue no longer grows incrementally, it multiplies, fueled by a system that continuously learns and optimizes. The brilliance of compounding dominance is that it amplifies every prior element. Scarcity becomes more impactful because the system responds dynamically. Guarantees feel even more credible because results improve continuously. Messaging becomes more magnetic as it adapts to customer psychology in real time. Sequencing compounds engagement because touchpoints are calibrated for maximal impact. Trust deepens as the offer evolves, proving its reliability and relevance at every stage. This principle transforms ordinary entrepreneurs into market leaders. Ordinary products evolve slowly or stagnate. Offers designed for continuous evolution become ecosystems of engagement, creating a self-perpetuating cycle where success feeds itself, conversion multiplies, and dominance escalates relentlessly. The next revelation escalates everything to the final stage. While evolution compounds growth, ultimate mastery requires embedding irresistible perception and transformation at the core of every interaction, creating an experience so compelling that hesitation, skepticism, and distraction are obliterated. This is where $100 million offers transcend strategy and become unstoppable forces in human behavior, market influence, and wealth creation. Chapter 12: The Irresistible Transformation. By now, the offer has been perfected in layers. Value meticulously stacked, scarcity and urgency amplifying desire, guarantees annihilating doubt, positioning shaping inevitability, messaging igniting attention, trust creating belief, triggers prompting instant action, sequencing compounding engagement, and evolution ensuring perpetual growth. Yet the final force that transforms an ordinary offer into a $100 million phenomenon is the perception of transformation itself, the unshakable belief that engaging with the offer will fundamentally change the customer's life. Alex Hormozi discovered that human behavior is governed not just by desire or fear, but by the promise of transformation made tangible. People do not buy products or services, they buy a version of themselves they can see, feel, and almost taste before they commit. The offer must become the bridge between present frustration and future mastery. Customers must feel the impact in their minds before they even experience it physically. Consider a business coaching program. Clients initially focus on features, templates, sessions, strategies. Hormozi reframed every interaction to highlight transformation over tools. Each message, testimonial, and touchpoint painted a vivid picture, from uncertainty to mastery, from stagnation to exponential growth, from hesitation to unstoppable action. The customer experienced the result mentally first, creating a magnetic pull toward commitment. The offer no longer felt optional, it felt inevitable. The genius of this principle is in its layering. Scarcity enhances immediacy, guarantees remove doubt, sequencing reinforces engagement, but transformation is the anchor that makes every other lever feel meaningful. Without it, urgency is pressure, scarcity is manipulation, and guarantees are transactional. With it, the offer becomes a story the customer wants to live, a journey they cannot resist, and a system they cannot ignore. Hormozi's clients realize that transformation must be visible, measurable, and emotionally resonant. Social proof demonstrates possibility. Early wins confirm credibility. Personalized guidance reinforces trust. Every touchpoint signals that this is not just an opportunity, it is a doorway to change. Customers are not asked to act, they are invited to step into a reality they already envision, creating action that feels preordained. Behavioral science amplifies this effect. The human brain prioritizes future rewards when they are made vivid and emotionally tangible. Hormozi engineered every offer to exploit this instinct. Visualization of outcomes, storytelling that mirrors the customer's struggles and victories, proof that results are replicable and inevitable. Action becomes almost automatic because the mind has already experienced the reward. The compounding power is staggering. Offers designed for transformation turn every layer, value, scarcity, guarantees, positioning, messaging, trust, sequencing, and evolution into amplifiers of desire. Customers commit faster, engage deeper, advocate louder, and return repeatedly. The market responds not incrementally, but explosively. $100 million success is no longer aspiration. It becomes the natural outcome of engineered perception and experience. This chapter reveals the ultimate insight. The offer itself is a living narrative, a system of triggers, experiences, and proof meticulously engineered so that every interaction, from first impression to repeated engagement, creates the unshakable belief that transformation is not optional, but inevitable. When a customer internalizes this, hesitation evaporates, commitment becomes instinctive, and the offer achieves unstoppable market dominance. The next chapter will unlock the final multiplier, how to scale this system across audiences, industries, and markets, turning a single $100 million offer into a replicable, unstoppable engine of wealth and influence. This is where strategy, psychology, and market mechanics converge to create offers that redefine possibility. Chapter 13: The Engine of Scaling. Even after mastering value stacking, scarcity, urgency, guarantees, positioning, messaging, trust, triggers, sequencing, evolution, and irresistible transformation, a single market or audience is finite. The ultimate breakthrough lies in scaling the system, turning a perfected $100 million offer into a replicable engine of market domination that can multiply across audiences, industries, and geographies. Alex Hormozi discovered that scaling is not about doing more marketing or throwing more money at acquisition. Scaling is replicating the architecture of desire, trust, and transformation across multiple channels while maintaining intensity, fidelity, and emotional resonance. The challenge is to preserve the magnetic force of the offer while expanding reach, ensuring that the system operates at peak efficiency regardless of audience size. Consider a business software platform. Early sales are driven by precision targeting, personalized messaging, and carefully timed triggers. Hormozi recognized that to scale, every element of the offer, positioning, guarantees, social proof, sequencing, must be systematized without diluting impact. Processes are designed to maintain urgency, reinforce trust, and amplify transformation consistently, whether the audience is 10 or 10,000. The brilliance lies in automation aligned with human psychology. Behavioral triggers, scarcity cues, and messaging sequences are integrated into systems that replicate the experience of a personalized journey at scale. Customers feel individual attention even in mass campaigns. Every interaction reinforces desire, builds trust, and deepens perceived transformation. Scaling does not weaken the offer, it multiplies its magnetic force. Hormozi's clients discovered that true scaling also requires feedback loops embedded at every level. Conversion data, engagement metrics, and behavioral insights feed directly into offer refinement, creating a system that continuously improves as it grows. Every new market, every additional audience, and every repeat customer becomes an input for exponential optimization. The system is alive, adaptive, and self-reinforcing. The multiplier effect of scaling is extraordinary. A $100 million offer designed with compounding systems and feedback loops does not merely expand revenue, it amplifies influence, authority, and market presence. The perception of inevitability and transformation spreads organically, attracting new customers, inspiring advocates, and creating a self-perpetuating cycle of adoption. Hormozi discovered another secret. Scaling works best when offers are modular and adaptable. Core value, transformation, and trust remain constant, while messaging, triggers, and scarcity cues are customized for specific audiences. This allows the system to maintain impact while reaching diverse markets, multiplying revenue, and reinforcing dominance. Every market becomes a stage for the same irresistible experience, ensuring uniformity of perception and exponential growth. The final insight of scaling is profound. The system transforms the market itself.
competitors struggle to replicate precision, credibility, and emotional resonance. Customers internalize transformation as inevitable. Advocates propagate desire. Revenue curves no longer grow linearly, they compete with gravity itself, accelerating beyond expectations, unstoppable once momentum is established. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate synthesis: how to combine all forces, value, scarcity, urgency, guarantees, positioning, messaging, trust, triggers, sequencing, evolution, transformation, and scaling into a single, unstoppable $100 million offer ecosystem that dominates any market it touches. This is where strategy, psychology, and execution converge into perfection.
Chapter 14: The Unstoppable Offer Ecosystem. By now, every element of the $100 million offer has been perfected individually. Value is stacked to overwhelm. Scarcity and urgency ignite desire. Guarantees annihilate doubt. Positioning creates inevitability. Messaging captures attention. Trust eliminates hesitation. Triggers compel immediate action. Sequencing compounds engagement. Evolution ensures perpetual optimization. Transformation anchors perception, and scaling multiplies impact. Yet the ultimate breakthrough emerges when all forces merge into a single, unstoppable ecosystem, an offer that dominates not by chance, but by design across markets, behaviors, and time. Alex Hormozi discovered that creating such an ecosystem requires integration at the deepest level. Every component must interact synergistically, each amplifying the others. Scarcity intensifies urgency, which strengthens triggers, which reinforces trust. Sequencing enhances transformation, which drives adoption, which fuels scaling. The sum of these forces is no longer linear. It becomes exponential, self-reinforcing, and almost gravitational in its pull. The ecosystem operates like a living organism. Every touchpoint, message, interaction, and feedback loop is calibrated to maintain momentum. Customers feel they are entering a system designed for their success, a framework where every action brings them closer to transformation. The offer ceases to be optional. It becomes the natural trajectory for anyone exposed to it. Hormozi's clients found that when offers achieve ecosystem status, hesitation is eliminated, engagement is immediate, and advocacy becomes automatic. The market responds not incrementally, but in waves of unstoppable adoption. Competitors appear irrelevant. Customers perceive the offer as the standard, the reference point, the unavoidable choice. Ordinary offers pale in comparison. The ecosystem transforms the market itself. Behavioral science magnifies this effect. Humans respond to patterns, certainty, and visible progress. Hormozi engineered the ecosystem to synchronize triggers, social proof, messaging, and transformation into a seamless experience. Every interaction strengthens perceived inevitability. Every success story amplifies desire. Every milestone reinforces trust. Customers act instinctively because the ecosystem aligns perfectly with their cognitive and emotional wiring. The genius of this design lies in perpetual compounding. Feedback loops continuously refine the system. Messaging evolves, triggers adapt, sequencing improves, and transformation deepens. The offer does not merely persist, it grows stronger, more magnetic, and more irresistible with every interaction. Revenue, engagement, and influence compound relentlessly. A $100 million ecosystem becomes self-sustaining, continuously optimizing, and perpetually dominant. Hormozi also revealed that mastery requires perception engineering at scale. Offers must feel personal, even in mass deployment. Scarcity must feel urgent. Guarantees must feel credible.
Transformation must feel tangible, and every interaction must reinforce that this system was designed specifically for the customer. When perception aligns with reality, the ecosystem achieves an almost unstoppable gravitational pull, attracting engagement, adoption, and advocacy beyond expectation. The final revelation elevates everything to its apex. The ecosystem is not just a tool for revenue, it is a mechanism for influence, authority, and market transformation. Every element interacts to create perception, compel action, and anchor transformation. Every customer touchpoint becomes an amplifier. Every interaction is an opportunity to deepen engagement. The offer is no longer transactional. It is experiential, magnetic, and dominantly persuasive. The next chapter will unlock the ultimate culmination, how to orchestrate all previous elements into a $100 million offer launch that not only converts, scales, and dominates, but leaves the market transformed, the audience engaged, and competitors powerless. This is the apex of offer mastery.
Chapter 15. The Launch of Unstoppable Dominance. The pinnacle of every 100M offer is not just perfection in design, messaging, trust, triggers, sequencing, evolution, transformation, or scaling. It is the moment of launch, when theory collides with execution and the ecosystem asserts itself on the market. Alex Hormozi discovered that a 100M launch is not a campaign. It is a carefully orchestrated crescendo of anticipation, engagement, and transformation, engineered to trigger immediate action, viral adoption, and unstoppable momentum. Launching an offer at this level is an art of timing, psychology, and precision. Every touchpoint is synchronized. Messaging primes attention before scarcity is revealed. Guarantees eliminate hesitation just as desire peaks. Social proof multiplies credibility, while behavioral triggers compel instantaneous action. Customers experience the launch as inevitable, as if the ecosystem itself is pulling them toward engagement, making hesitation almost impossible. Hormozi designed launch frameworks that layer anticipation and urgency at every level. Early teasers ignite curiosity, previews highlight transformation, and time-limited bonuses intensify scarcity. The audience is guided on a journey where engagement is the only logical choice. The ecosystem, previously theoretical, becomes experiential. Every interaction reinforces the promise. Transformation is possible, available now, and impossible to ignore. Behavioral science amplifies impact. The human brain reacts instantly to patterns, social validation, and cues of opportunity. Hormozi's launches exploit these instincts masterfully. Real-time proof of engagement creates a herd effect, showing potential customers that others are already acting, reinforcing perception and accelerating decisions. Triggers, sequencing, and feedback loops operate at scale, converting interest into immediate action. The genius of a 100M launch lies in compounding momentum. Early adopters validate the system, testimonials reinforce credibility, and behavioral triggers continue to activate hesitant prospects. Each new interaction increases urgency, magnifies scarcity, and deepens perceived transformation. What begins as a launch becomes a self-sustaining wave of engagement, advocacy, and revenue, impossible to halt once momentum is established. Hormozi's clients discovered a profound reality. Launches at this level are not about selling. They are about creating irresistible experiences. Every customer touchpoint is an amplifier. Every metric is a guide. Every interaction reinforces the ecosystem. Engagement multiplies exponentially, not linearly. Markets react, competitors scramble, and the audience becomes part of a phenomenon larger than themselves. The multiplier effect is staggering. Revenue growth accelerates, influence expands, and adoption scales beyond projections. Offers that once felt aspirational now dominate perception.
Customers feel transformation as tangible and immediate. The market itself bends toward engagement, unable to resist the gravitational force of the perfected ecosystem. The final revelation elevates this even further. A 100M launch is not just about the immediate transaction, it is the creation of a perpetual engine of influence, wealth, and transformation. The ecosystem does not end after the launch. It evolves, adapts, and compounds. Every conversion feeds credibility, every interaction fuels engagement, and every success story amplifies perception. The launch becomes the tipping point, the moment where all prior mastery converges into unstoppable dominance. Final chapter: Legacy of the 100M offer. After stacking value, igniting urgency, creating guarantees, positioning for inevitability, crafting messaging, building trust, activating triggers, sequencing engagement, evolving dynamically, delivering transformation, scaling across markets, and executing unstoppable launches, the final frontier is legacy, the ability to create offers that dominate markets, transform audiences, and perpetuate influence indefinitely. Alex Hormozi discovered that the true power of a 100M offer is not in any single tactic. It is the integration of every element into a living, breathing system. Each offer becomes a machine. Anticipation draws attention. Triggers compel action. Transformation anchors belief. Sequencing compounds engagement, and evolution ensures perpetual relevance. The market perceives the offer not as a product, but as an inevitable force. Engagement is instinctive, adoption is relentless, and hesitation is non-existent. The genius lies in perception aligned with reality. Customers do not just purchase, they experience transformation mentally before it manifests physically. They witness social proof that validates possibility. They navigate sequences that reinforce belief. They encounter scarcity and urgency that align with desire. They trust guarantees and authority, knowing hesitation is costly. Every interaction signals that this system is crafted for success at scale, designed to deliver impact beyond expectation. Hormozi's ecosystem turns ordinary buyers into evangelists. One-time engagement becomes repeated commitment. Advocates amplify reach. Feedback drives optimization. Revenue growth accelerates exponentially. The offer evolves dynamically, learning from each interaction to become more magnetic, more credible, and more irresistible. The market bends toward adoption, unable to resist the gravitational force of precision, psychology, and design. The final stage transcends marketing. It is a blueprint for influence and legacy. Markets are not merely penetrated, they are transformed. Audiences are not merely converted, they are elevated. The system perpetuates itself, generating momentum, wealth, and authority that compound far beyond initial expectations. What begins as an offer becomes a movement, a standard, and a force of inevitability. Hormozi revealed the ultimate multiplier. When transformation is embedded deeply and perception is engineered perfectly, the ecosystem operates autonomously. Every customer interaction reinforces credibility. Every success story amplifies social proof. Every sequence touchpoint compounds engagement. Every adaptation improves magnetic force. The offer becomes unstoppable, not because of external effort, because it aligns perfectly with human psychology, market dynamics, and behavioral incentives. The legacy of a 100M offer is measured not in transactions, but in perpetual transformation, market influence, and compounding engagement. Competitors struggle to replicate its precision. Customers internalize its inevitability. Audiences become advocates. Systems compound revenue, influence, and engagement. The offer does not merely succeed, it dominates, evolves, and endures. In conclusion, the 100M offer is the synthesis of strategy, psychology, and execution. Every element, from stacking value to scaling, from sequencing to transformation, from triggers to evolution, interlocks into a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. Engagement becomes instinctive, transformation feels tangible, and adoption is unavoidable. This is the ultimate mastery, a self-reinforcing ecosystem of wealth, influence, and impact that redefines what is possible in markets, for audiences, and for those who dare to design at this level. The final insight is clear. Creating a 100M offer is not about selling, it is about engineering an unstoppable reality where desire, action, and transformation converge. Every decision, every interaction, every metric, every touchpoint becomes part of an ecosystem that compounds endlessly, leaving markets dominated, audiences transformed, and competitors irrelevant. The journey is complete, yet the system continues to evolve, scale, and impact. Legacy is not optional, it is inevitable.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.